What's going on? Justin here with Engage Marketing. All right, this quick video is going to go over use of AI. So here is the deal. If you guys are not using AI in your business or for your clients, you are dropping the ball. You're missing a huge opportunity, and I can promise you, you will get left behind at some point. And what I wanted to hop on and go over today is just an example of how we use some AI in my agency for our specific clients, just as an added value, as an added bonus. This doesn't affect really what we're doing for them, but it helps them on their side deal with their patients and their customers to better get people on the phone, to build more relationships, to build better rapport, to build relationships, and in order to get people moving forward with treatment or scheduling appointments or whatever that end goal is for you. And so when looking at this, again, just a simple example here of what we did this morning or what I did this morning is we had a client that we're running some ads for on Facebook and Instagram, and they are a dental office, and their end goal is they want more dental implant patients. Now, the typical implant patient's worth about $22,000 to $25,000. So this is a very high ticket item that we are looking to promote and sell. And so we have to have a very specific way of getting those leads, qualifying those leads, getting them on the phone, getting them scheduled, making sure they show up to the appointment, because no-show is a big deal in the dental world. And then from that point, pre-qualifying them, pre-warming them up right before they get to the practice and their appointment, to make sure that they are ready to potentially move forward with treatment, or at least open to getting a treatment plan presented to them. So with this specific client, we went and looked at, and we record all the phone calls that are made. And so the patient gets on the phone with the practice, those calls are recorded. Now the benefit here is, since they are recorded, we can download those calls. Our CRM also transcribes these for us as well, but there are also plenty of free sites online where you can drop a call recording in and it will automatically transcribe that call for you. So with this example, that's what we did. Downloaded 3 example calls, and if I were you, I would do this with 10, 20, 30 calls, as many as you can do. The more accurate, the more info we can throw into a tool like ChatGPT, the more information, the more data it has to work through and go through, and the better the results are going to be. So for this example, I wanted to keep it quick, and we just took 3 calls. So these 3 calls, we had a common denominator, right? And the common denominator was that all 3 of these calls, the patient did not schedule an appointment, and they didn't schedule an appointment because they did not want to leave a credit card on file to book the appointment. And so like I mentioned earlier, no-shows in the dental space or the medical space are a big part of business, especially if you're running paid ads on Facebook and Meta, because we're dealing with a much colder lead on the front end. It's harder to get that person on the phone. It's a lot harder to get that person scheduled and showing up for that appointment, just because people don't typically take it too seriously. Most of these are for free consultations as well, so there's no charge associated with that, and that doesn't help things, right? However, to compete in this area, free is the way to go. Now, with that said, how we combat that no-show rate is we get a credit card on file, or we charge or take a $50 deposit, $25 deposit, something. So we want some kind of financial commitment from the potential patient or the lead, just to increase that show rate, right? To make sure they're going to show up for that appointment. And with the credit card on file, basically we let them know, hey, there is no charge, everything is free. However, if you no-show, they don't show up without calling or canceling, just don't show up for their appointment, there is a $50 charge, okay? So a couple of ways you can go about doing that. Either way, they get calls sometimes and people are fine with that. There's no issues there. Great. They also get the calls to where people don't want to do that. So that's where this example comes in. So I wanted to, without having to go through and listen to multiple calls, some of these calls are like 10, 15 minutes long, without having to spend 45 minutes going through and listening to calls and typing up all the notes, etc., I'm going to take these, right, and I took them and put them into ChatGPT. And what I told ChatGPT was multiple things, okay? I didn't just go in and put the text in here, drop the calls and say, hey, and these are the call transcripts. We can see 3 calls, transcriptions here. I didn't just say, hey, go in and analyze these calls for me and give me your thoughts, okay? With ChatGPT and some of these other AI platforms, the more information, like I said, you can give it, the better the results are going to be. So the more specific that you can go, the better the results will be. So spend the time, build the prompt correctly, and go through and edit it. If it doesn't give you an answer that you want to begin with, or if it's not the result you want, restructure it, re-edit it, change that prompt up, right? Continue to refine that until it spits out what you're looking for. So with this example, I built an avatar, okay? And again, I did this. This probably took me, it's a couple of paragraphs. It probably took me 5 minutes to type this stuff out, to load these up here, and then just see what it spit out. And I may kind of go through and make some adjustments now that I have the results. But either way, the first rendition here is great, and we'll go through that in just a second. Either way, background on your avatar. So I created an avatar. I let ChatGPT know this is who I am, right? So I'm a front desk receptionist at a dentist office. We're answering incoming patient calls, looking for dental work. Our goal is to get the patient, build rapport, learn about their concerns, small goals, why haven't they fixed their issues yet. After building trust, our goal is to get them scheduled for an in-person appointment, as well as hype up the practice and the doctor to get the patient more excited and ready for the visit. A lot of times what we see on these phone calls is that the practice, and this is not just for our dental clients, this is for every business out there, a large majority at least. Whoever's answering the phones, right, that first point of contact is really not building any kind of rapport, building any kind of relationship with the patient. It's just a hello, how are you? Great, let's get you scheduled, here we go, right? Instead, especially if we're talking high treatment, it's imperative that you build that rapport, build that trust, build that relationship in order to, again, pre-frame and warm up that lead to get them to be, more open to accepting treatment or accepting an estimate or quote, right? And so with this one, again, we want to hype them up and get them more excited and ready for their visit. To schedule an in-person appointment, we do require a credit card on file to hold the appointment time to make sure the patient is serious and committed to showing up. Unfortunately, now we want to let ChatGPT know kind of why we do this. We've had too many no-shows in the past, wasting doctor and staff time, as well as taking appointment slots from other patients in need. There is a $50 no-show fee for missed in-person appointments. The patient needs to understand we are blocking off specific time on our schedules to meet individually with the patient so we can give them the attention they deserve. Spots are limited and reserved for those patients that are serious about their health and getting their smile back. So that is my avatar. Again, realize here that I didn't just say I'm a front desk receptionist, right? I went in and gave as much detail as possible, and this could even be improved. Again, I took 5 minutes to write this up. Now that I have the avatar, what do I want the results to be? What am I looking for? So I have 4 different things that I want from this prompt. Number 1, again, this is where the details come in. I want this to analyze the 3 calls attached to see how the staff member could improve the conversation. Pretty basic. Number 2, the lead in all 3 of these did not want to put a credit card on file to schedule the appointment. Identify the reasoning and objections for not wanting to give a credit card on file to hold their appointment time and present a better way to handle those objections. Number 3, based on this information, now develop a call script that focuses on building rapport and trust with the patient, getting the patient scheduled, collecting a CC on file to hold the time and build excitement for that appointment. And then lastly, number 4, in a separate section, include some common objections to not wanting to give out credit card info, plus verbiage to handle those objections. Now, if I had 20, 30, 40, 50 calls in here, we would have a lot more objections and a lot more data and info to go off of. With 3 calls in here, there's going to be 3 or 4 objections, right? So not much information there. But I also wanted it to, instead of just analyzing these things, let's take it a step further, right? Let's take all the information that we get and let's build a better call script. We already have call scripts that we give our practices, but for this specific practice, this call script is based on everything that I've put in here, but also based specifically on the calls that they have made, okay? So this is not just a generic script, right? It's based on, again, the data from the transcripts from these specific calls from this client, okay? So now let's see what it spit out. Here's a detailed analysis and improvement plan based on the transcripts you provided, focusing on rapport building, objection handling, scheduling, etc. Part 1, analysis. What went well? Friendly tone. Staff members were polite, clearly identified themselves. Free consult and financing were all well explained. Availability and flexibility were communicated clearly. All this is great. These are pretty simple and generic for the most part. Now, what could be improved? This is where it starts to get good. Okay, lack of rapport and personalization. The calls jumped into logistics and pricing too quickly without understanding patient concerns or goals. missed opportunity to connect emotionally with the patient. For example, tell me a little bit more about what's bothering you with your smile. Okay, this one is huge. And the reason I put this in here, put this part, in the prompt about building rapport and relationships, is I've listened to plenty of calls between our clients and potential patients or leads, and calls with other businesses out there, not just dentists, right? And I can tell you this is a big part of what's typically missing. There's no trust, there's no rapport building. When people are calling you to get a quote for something or to get more information about your services, most likely they have already talked to someone else in your industry, or they are planning to talk to someone else in your industry. So you better make the best of that first call. That's the first point of contact, your first impression. So build rapport and relationship on that first call. Don't miss these opportunities to connect. Number 2, weak transitions into the card request. Staff mentioned the requirement abruptly, often at the end of the call, which that part's fine, but with minimal context or value framing. It sounded transactional, not trust building. So that tells me when the staff member is saying, yes, we do require a credit card on file, it is basically just that. Hey, let's get you scheduled. We do require a credit card on file. I'm ready for that number when you are. There's nothing there, right? There's no value built around that. There's no reasoning behind that. There's no emotional, connection there. It's, again, just very transactional without having the trust built at first. So that doesn't surprise me that somebody's going to say, yeah, I don't really feel comfortable giving you my credit card information, right? 3, failure to reassure or reframe objections. So objections like, I don't feel comfortable giving my card over the phone, or let me talk to my husband, weren't explored or guided gently. So patients left the call with hesitations, or I'll call you back, which we all know is a lost lead for the most part. They are probably not going to call back. So once we get them on the phone, we need to have a specific goal in mind for the end of that call. We are getting them scheduled. We are scheduling another call time, or they are saying no, and we are taking them off our list, right? We don't want to end the call with a maybe, right? I'll talk to my husband. That's understandable, but there's objection handling that we can do there. So all this to say, right, there's just weak transition. There's no rapport building. There's no personalization here. We had some weak transitions into the card request, and then we didn't really reframe the objection. So the objection comes up, and this tells me again that there was no objection handling, right? I'll talk to my husband. Okay, great. Talk to you later, right? Well, I don't really feel comfortable giving my card over the phone. Well, we need to have your card over the phone, so if you change your mind, call us back, right? Again, that's not going to work. Second part here, objection analysis. So top reasons patients refuse to give a credit card: trust, skepticism, fear of being charged unexpectedly or scam, lack of urgency or commitment, patients aren't fully bought in yet, want to discuss with a partner or use a different card, privacy concern, uncomfortable giving info over the phone. All these are good objections. They are legit and realistic. Now, how do we better handle those objections? Reframe the requirement as a benefit. Why are we taking the card in the first place? Emphasize the personal time set aside by the doctor for just them, right? For this specific example, the doctor is meeting you one-on-one for 30 minutes or an hour, however long that is. We have staff time involved. We have materials involved. All that is important. Those are all values. Plus, we are blocking off time specifically for you. We have limited availability. This is not somebody else's time, right? It is specifically for you. Once your slot's booked, that slot's gone, right? Security and control. This should be an easy one for the most part, but explain the card is not charged unless they just no-show without notice to the appointment. And then with the security aspect as well, there's other objections that we will go into in a few minutes, I think. But either way, with that, some people don't want to give credit card info over the phone. I get that. Again, legitimate concern. Easy objection there is great. I'll send you a link to our HIPAA compliant or our security-backed third-party payment system or whatever, and it's just a pay link, right? They click a link, they go to the site, they put their card info in, there's a zero charge on there, and that's that, right? So easy enough to get around there. Make it personal. We really want to help you. That time is for you. We just want to make sure it doesn't go to waste, right? More things of making it about them. Social proof. Yes, most of our patients feel that same way at first, but once they come in and meet Dr. So-and-so, they're so glad they did, right? Again, using social proof, building up the practice, building hype around the doctor, the staff, the treatment, etc. So all that was the analysis and some of the objections, right? So that gives us some good information about how we can really just start to improve based on some of those bullet points. Now, next part, 3, Optimize call script. So tone, warm, patient, confident. Objective, we want to connect emotionally, we want to schedule, and we want to collect credit card info confidently. Okay, that's a big one here, confidently. You can't go into this or this specific practice or a client, they can't go into asking for card information and scheduling info not confidently, right? We have to come in with authority, and that's where the trust comes into play, etc. That's going to make that process much easier. If we come in hesitant about that, the lead is going to pick up on that, and that's going to drop the trust and not feel them secure in giving that information. So let's look at real quick what that receptionist, or excuse me, what that call script looks like. So receptionist, hey, is this Justin? Hey, Justin, this is Justin calling from Dr. John's office. I saw you were interested in our implant options. Thank you so much for reaching out. So before we talk logistics, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what's going on. What made you decide it's time to start looking into dental implants? Let them share, respond with empathy and connection. So here we go. First part of the conversation. Hey, thanks for reaching out. Before we get into the details, tell me more about you. I want to learn more about you, what you're going through, what your needs are, what your goals are, and then we'll tell you if we're a good fit or if we can help you or how we can help you. Empathy and connection, right? When they give you an answer, you listen and respond back with that answer and give a little bit more, right? What made you decide it's time to start looking into implants? Well, I've been missing teeth I've been missing most of my teeth for the last couple of years. I'm embarrassed to smile. I can't hardly eat anything. It's just ruining my life. Empathy and connection. Justin, I really understand that. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm sure that's a huge pain and a burden on your life. We have multiple patients that we see on a daily basis with those exact same concerns about their lives. And then you go into the benefits of that, right? So build that empathy and that connection with them versus, oh yeah, that stinks. When can we get you scheduled, right? Have a conversation, build the personal connection. And here this is, right? Oh, completely understand. So it is more common than you think. The good news is you're in the right place. Dr. John's helped hundreds of patients just like you who felt the same exact way. Now, let me explain a little bit about how we work. We offer a completely free implant consult. It includes a full mouth x-ray, one-on-one exam with a doctor, and a custom treatment plan based on your needs. No charge at all for that visit. We also offer flexible payment options like Care Credit, Cherry, even if your credit's not perfect. Now, the only thing we do ask, and this is a big part where we can also get into tonality, right? How your tone, right? How different tones relay different emotions or different vibes into the person you're talking to. So now, the only thing we do ask, want to be upfront, that we keep a credit card on file to hold your appointment time. So look, there is no charge for the appointment unless you just miss it or no show without giving us a heads up. We've just unfortunately had too many people not show up, and it really just takes time away from patients like you who genuinely need the help. But when you show up, and I know you will, right? There's no charge for it at all. Okay, so making a little bit lighter of the conversation here. This is the more serious part, right? But again, we're going ahead and telling them why. We've had just too many people not show up. And then we're kind of reaffirming that. That's taking time away from you, right? Patients like you who need the help, okay? That's the bulk of that, right? So that is building the trust. And again, this could even be built on. So I've got multiple questions I would add in here. What made you decide it's time to start looking at the implants? Let them share, respond with empathy and connection. It depends on their response. What made you start looking at implants? Oh, I'm missing a few teeth. Oh, I completely understand. No, go deeper. What made you start looking at implants? I'm missing a few teeth. Tell me more about that. How long have you been missing teeth? I've been missing like 3 or 4 years, something like that. Man, that's a long time. How has life been the last 3 or 4 years missing teeth? What was it like before that? Oh, it was great before that. I could eat what I want, smile how I wanted to. I just let my health go or had some accident or whatever. Missing them, it's just, went downhill from there. Man, that really stinks. I'm really sorry to hear that. I would love it, to meet you, to see how we could help you. Have you had this looked out in the past, or is there a reason why you haven't gotten it fixed yet? I can't afford treatment typically, etc. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's understandable. It's not, it's not a cheap investment, but it is a long-term and a lifelong investment, and it's permanent, right? It's a life change. Tell me more about that, right? And just go deeper and deeper and unravel each little thing that they say, and you're taking notes as you go, right? And once you get those notes, that's giving you all the information you need, again, to craft your responses. So That tells you what potential objections they may have with financing, payment, pricing, putting a card on file, time, right? Trust. Maybe they've been to 3 offices and they didn't like any of them, or they didn't trust them. They gave them, all 3 quotes, all treatment plans. All 3 of them were, 10 grand, 20 grand, and 30 grand, right? They didn't know who to trust, right? And so that gives you all the information you need to better craft your responses and to get these patients scheduled and to really, again, warm them up for that visit and to better present the options that you have for them. And again, I'm talking specifically with dental here, but again, this can be used for any business out there, right? The principles here are still the same. Back into the objection. So another example, I don't feel comfortable giving my card over the phone. Totally understand, common concern. Just so you know, your card is stored securely through our HIPAA compliant system. Won't be charged unless the appointment is just missed entirely without a cost. Just a no-show, right? We only do this because we're reserving a full hour of the doctor's time just for you. We want to make sure every serious patient gets the care and the attention they deserve, right? Got it. Here's the objection. Cool. I'm going to handle that. And I'm going to go back here and say, great, here's why we're doing it. And then I'm going to go back to ready to get that information when you are, right? We can go ahead and get you scheduled. Just need that card info. If they have another objection, handle it. Loop back around to that ask again. Transition into scheduling. This is pretty quick and easy here. I'd probably change this up a bit, but once all that's done, great. Let's go ahead and get you on the schedule while we have some availability. Mornings or afternoons work better for you. They have all that information. Perfect. Got you down. Let me go ahead and get your card info now. We'll put it in the system and we'll get that spot settled for you, right? So we're letting them know again ahead of time why we're asking for a credit card on file and why we're asking for it. And then by the time we get to the scheduling point, they already know that they need a credit card on file. Okay. Part 4, objection handling cheat sheet. So here are the 4 objections that came up. I know there's only 3 calls, but somebody said 1 or 2 of these during that same call. Objection: don't feel comfortable giving my card over the phone. Look, totally understand. We don't charge anything unless the appointment's missed. Info is stored securely. We only use it to hold your spot so we can reserve that time with the doctor. I would also mention here, again, something with, a pay link or something like that. Look, if you're more comfortable with me sending you a quick pay link, I can do that right now. You can put your information in there while we're on the phone. I'll verify it all went through and then we'll be good to go. You don't have to give it over the phone if you don't want to. Okay, yeah, that sounds better. Great. I'm going to send you that link right now. Side note here, don't hang up, right? Because you may not hear from them again. Keep them on the phone. Make sure they get the link. Make sure they fill it out. Once they fill it out, then we get the appointment scheduled. Next one. Can I just give it to you when I come in? Hey, I got it. Hear you. We've had to implement this policy, unfortunately, to make sure we're giving priority to patients who are ready to, I don't know that I would say ready to move forward, but who are serious about showing up and ready to potentially get treatment or move forward, right? Since we're setting aside a full hour just for you, we do need the card on file to finalize that booking. Need to talk to my husband and wife. Absolutely. Many of our patients want to dock it over to their significant other, their spouses first. Just keep in mind, we do have limited spots. We can't officially hold your time until we have that card. So what I can do is I can kind of tentatively pencil you in, and I can follow up later today once you've had a chance to check. Is there a good time to reach back out with you today? Will you be around your husband or wife by 5 o'clock tonight? Does that sound good? Right? And again, side note here, be really specific in that. Hey, I'll pencil you in, but I know you need to talk to your significant other, so when's a good time to follow up with you? What most practices or businesses will do, yeah, great, go talk to your husband, give me a call back. Doesn't work, right? So when are they available for a callback, right? Put that on yourself. You call them back, but make sure you have a specific time and day that you can do that. What if I have to cancel? Great question. As long as you let us know within 24 hours or whatever the cancellation is, no problem. We get it. Life happens. The fee only applies if someone just no-shows without calling, right? We're expecting you in 10 minutes. You don't show up. That's where the fee kicks in. So that's the 4 things, right? I gave it the avatar. I gave it the 4 pieces that I wanted it to spit out, and it did just exactly that. Like I said, a few things that we could come in here and tweak and edit and optimize, but this is great to go pretty much as it is. Great training point for business owners, for their staff, to really evaluate how certain calls are going, because I know as a business owner, I can't go in and track every single phone call or listen to every single phone call that goes to my team, right? As you as a business owner, you probably don't know what your front staff is doing, how they're handling calls, how your internal sales agents, your ISAs are handling calls. So how can you make that a little easier, right? download 10, 20, 30 calls, 50 calls, however many, put them in here. Write a prompt, right? Say, hey, number one, this may be even like, hey, identify any red flag calls. And by red flag, I mean calls that were handled inappropriately, calls where rude tones were picked up, etc., and see what that spits out. If it spits out 20 different, hey, here's all these calls that we found these issues with, then you can go deeper into those specific calls, right, and figure out what the problem is. What I do like about this with ChatGPT a lot of times too is it will continue to give you different options, right? Would you like me to build this into a printable training sheet or a phone prompt script for your front desk team? Yeah, let's do it. Now, I've got this into an actual script. So the examples was there earlier. This is an actual script. Now I can take this and send this directly to the practice and say, hey, Dr. John, give this to your front desk. This is what I want them saying moving forward. We'll tweak it as we go. If they have any questions, let me know. We can also hop on a role play. We can walk through this together. I want to make sure they're trained up. Here's what we got. We developed this based on the last 20 calls that have came through. So it's relevant to the conversations that your team are having now. I'm not going to walk through all this. It's pretty similar to everything we just talked about. But greeting here, before we talk into logistics, they're building rapport, asking questions, building empathy here, or providing empathy. And then we're building up hype around the practice. We're letting them know what happens next, how the visit is going to go. We are pre-framing the ask for the credit card here. We're letting them know why we do that. And then we are moving into the scheduling at that point. At the very end, we've got an objection handling cheat sheet, the same ones that we just went over. Now, again, if there are more calls in here, this would be much, much longer. So that's why I would recommend putting multiple calls in here. If we exit back out of this, so I got that. So that's all great. Now, last one. Let me know if you'd like to turn it into a PDF or role play. If you'd like me to turn it into a formatted PDF or role play a training scenario with a staff member. Yes, sure. Download the call script and objection handling guide. So now it's a PDF. I hit download file. I've got the PDF. I can go ahead and send it straight over to the practice. And the next thing, it even keeps going, right? Let me know if you'd like a version with your logo, custom branding, turn it into a training handout with checkbox for note sections. I can continue saying yes or updating this, and it's going to continue spitting out information, right? So, all right, that concludes it today. It went a little bit longer than expected, but I think it's super important and a valuable resource. And this is honestly it's just scratching the surface here. But this is a big thing we see with a lot of clients that we work with is making sure that their front desk or that first point of contact is really trained up. And that's a lot of times a big missing piece of the puzzle, right? Because again, that's the first impression, right? Whoever's on that first point of contact, they are your brand, right? And that's an easy way to miss some opportunities and to let leads just kind of fall through the cracks. So let's make sure we're taking it as the most advantage of these leads that come in as possible, right? Because we may only have one chance, so let's make that chance count. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions about anything. Happy to chat about this kind of stuff. If you are looking to build prompts, if you're looking to get more information about calls like this, if you're looking to see how AI can potentially integrate better with your practice, your local business, whatever that may be. We also can help build chatbots that interact with patients via text, via chat widgets on the website. We can also build voice bots as well that actually handle phone calls, right? All that can be done. So again, the possibilities are really endless right now. So any questions or anything, feel free to reach out. Thanks.